Today I'm joined by Catherine Fitzpatrick. We are live from the South by Southwest conference, and a couple of things. You might hear people in the background, you might see people in the background, but we're having a good chat. Catherine's from Flequity Ventures, and Catherine, before we get into it, what do you do?
So I run a social enterprise that I started 3 years ago now after a bit of a career in banking and all over the place. We work with businesses, industry, regulators, governments in Australia and around the globe to help them understand the ways their products are being misused by domestic abusers and exploited, and then to make have smarter product design.
Yeah, awesome. Now, we will be talking about financial abuse and domestic violence themes. So that's just a bit of a heads up. Now, Catherine, what is financial abuse?
Financial abuse is a form of domestic violence, and it's where money's used to control another person. So what does that mean? It means that someone won't give you access to any money. They might make you feel really bad about spending money. They might rack up debt in your name. It's all about how they're trying to control you. So you do what I say or else.
Yeah. And how does financial abuse typically show up in people's lives or relationships?
Yeah, you know what's amazing is barely anyone knows that they're in it until later, because it's quite a hidden problem that we need to talk about.
But that's almost the same as the coercive control and, other type of emotional and mental abuse, right?
Absolutely. And it is a form of coercive control, actually. It's one of those tactics, and coercive control is being outlawed around Australia.
Yeah.
So financial abuse, how it shows up is it happens very slowly, and that's why people don't recognise that they're in it. And, you hear about people and women have told me about how they might have been given a really small allowance, so small they could barely live on it. People have to do things to earn that allowance. One woman told a colleague of mine how she had to stand on the scales, and if she was the right weight, she would get her allowance for the week.
And I mean, that would not happen the first week of a relationship, would it?
Absolutely not. So you've probably heard those expressions like love bombing.
Yes.
So it's one of those tactics of coercive control. It's like, I'm going to show you that you are the best thing that's ever happened to me, and it all happens really fast to try and make you see that person as the centre of the world. And then gradually they'll erode your self-esteem, they'll isolate you, and money is one of great ways to do that.
Yeah, and you've devoted your career to systemic change with the products and services that we deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. So so maybe if I tell you how I came to this.
Yeah, well, we'll do that right after this. My name is Glen James, and you are listening to Money, Money, Money with Catherine Fitzpatrick. Catherine did a keynote here at South by Southwest, so we've got mutual people that we know, so Catherine is in this stuff, and that's why I've got her today. You ready to do a podcast, Catherine?
Absolutely. I can't wait.
All right, let's get it on right now. Before we get into it, this show is general advice only, and I've got a license to provide that advice. Full details can be found in the show notes. I'm a former financial advisor. Now I do the Money, Money, Money podcast. If you're a regular here, we call it M3, and we do a podcast called Retire Right. I've got a book, The Quick Start Guide to Investing, is available wherever good books are sold. There's a link in the show notes if you want to turn up your investing to 11, or if you're just getting started. Let's get into it. Thank you so much for being here today. Okay, Catherine, what are some early warning signs or red flags for the type of financial abuse that you're trying to eradicate?
Yeah, well, it's. I guess the first thing is somebody might be questioning all the ways that you're using money. Why did you have to spend your money on that? Show me the receipts. You didn't ask me about doing that. And it starts being a bit of control and questioning about that. It can get worse over time. It could also be you're really bad with managing money. You're so bad with managing money. How about I take over managing all the money in the house? Until the person who's receiving that starts to believe it and then says, okay, well, I won't manage the money anymore, and sort of starts handing over that responsibility. It's different to a healthy money relationship,
Right.
where, plenty of people in your household, you might say, oh, actually, I don't like managing money, so you do it because the other person likes it and is better at it.
Yeah, and usually one person does have that bent of nerdy factor and admin factor.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as long as you're having a conversation about it and you agree it, there's nothing wrong with that. It's where it's actually I don't have control over how I'm spending my money. I might not have access to what's in my bank account. We can see that escalate, though, through really insidious and nefarious ways of managing money. So things like having a joint account and then cleaning out the whole account without telling the other person. Having a mortgage and not paying your share of the mortgage, or even ripping the money out of an offset account. With insurance, for some of the research that I've done, women told me that quite frequently their partners or ex-partners were ringing the insurance companies or going online and cancelling or changing their insurance policies. So one woman said to me...
So what type of insurance policies are we talking about?
Could be your house insurance, It could be your health insurance, it could be your car insurance. But quite often in a joint policy, there's two of you that are insured and one of you can operate the account. What happens is where there's been financial abuse, the controlling person might cancel or change the account, and you don't even know because the processes in the insurer, they don't tell you.
Right. Okay. So that could be a good segue. So, what should businesses, especially those in banking, insurances, utilities, why should those businesses care about financial abuse?
They should care about it because it is happening every day.
To their customers.
Yeah. And unfortunately, what's happening is one customer of theirs is hurting another customer.
Yeah.
So 2022, I wrote a paper called Design to Disrupt. And that is all about, and I've now written 3 of those papers. I'm working on another one. That's all about what are all the different ways that products are being misused by domestic abusers, and then how can you redesign them so that they're safer? And so I created a framework called Financial Safety by Design for businesses to say, here's the 3 steps you need to take. The first one, understands your products are being used for financial abuse.
Yeah.
2, design them for safety. And then the 3rd step is send a really clear, strong message that you don't want to be part of that. You didn't design products and services to be misused and to be used as weapons to control and hurt somebody else or financially harm them. And if you do that, there will be consequences.
Yeah. So I know this is the work that you do is purely the business to business play, but it's so important that we have this conversation because it brings awareness, and there could be executives listening to this who have decent sized companies who can start to think about policies. Can you tell us about the recommendations you made to some of the big banks here in Australia 3 years ago and how they've implemented the stuff that you've been working with and all your good stuff?
Yeah, thank you. Well, actually, it all kicked off for me in 2019 when I worked at Australia's biggest bank.
Which bank?
Yes, correct.
I show my age. When you say that, you show your age.
You do. It's such a famous advertising campaign, right?
Yeah, if you're over 1 million years old.
As I am. Not a boomer, though.
So
Not
am
a
I.
boomer.
So am I. I got the heart of a boomer.
Yeah, I think I got the brain of a boomer. Anyway.
Wish I had the super balance of a boomer.
Exactly. I agree. Not a sandwich generation. Exactly. So when I worked at CommBank, I set up a specialist team supporting customers experiencing domestic abuse and problem gambling, actually, and all forms of vulnerability, because anyone can feel vulnerable in their life. one of my team showed me a customer that we were helping. She had received a series of deposits into her account, just 1 cent at a time. And in the transaction description was abuse written in the transaction description.
Okay.
So your face is exactly what my face was.
Yeah, I'm just like, have you got a whiteboard and some holy water and a priest? I need to work this out.
Yeah.
So it said 1 cent that this person received, and the description just said abuse.
It had words of abuse and
sorry.
phrases of abuse.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it had
I'm
things
just like, that's weird.
No. It had things like, so I normally use payments. If I write in the transaction description, I might write an invoice number or it'd say happy birthday.
Yeah, or food, dinner the other night.
Correct.
Yeah.
What we found, we analysed 11 million transactions in a 3-month period, and we found 8,000 really serious forms of abuse. And these were things like 900 messages, 1 cent at a time. It cost $9, and it was sent over hours. It was just over a period of hours. Things like, I can see you, I'm out the front, I want to kill you, I want to kill them all. Like really serious stuff. So I learnt about that in 2019. Your face was what we did.
Yeah, I'm just like, is this asshole locked away without a key? Anyway.
It's awful, right?
It's
really
disgusting.
awful.
Yeah.
We also found that lots of particularly young people will write messages in those transaction descriptions that should never be in a bank account. So you have to remember, so they would write jokes or rude words.
Yeah, I've done that to my friends.
Yeah. So banks are now seeing you.
Coke.
Yeah, exactly. So now banks are watching you and they now see that. And a lot of the bad words, swear words, are now being blocked.
Get flagged. Yeah.
Well, they actually blocked in real time, so you
Right.
can't send the words, but you can still send the money if you change the words.
Yes.
And that was as a result of my work.
Yeah, great.
And now all the banks in Australia do that. They also monitor those patterns. They send suspicious matters reports to the Financial Crimes Regulator. And actually, the people that send those messages, a lot of the banks will write to them and say, we can see you. You need to stop it. And if you don't, we'll suspend your account or we'll close your account. Yeah.
So you saw all of this data and there was actual people, and you've used one example where they were drip feeding 1 cent with 900 abusive texts, because it's likely that the person had blocked them on other communications, but they were using that to abuse.
That was some of the messages.
Yeah.
Unblock me from Facebook were some of the messages I read. So I learnt all about that. I went to the eSafety Commissioner and said, what do we do about this? She said, apply what's called safety by design.
Yeah, cool.
So fast forward to 2022. I had a bit of a career curveball, and I had just left Westpac at that point for a job that didn't end up panning out. And so I couldn't get out of my head, what if we applied safety by design to every banking product? And so literally catalogued them all. And I realise I've been documenting the perpetrator playbook for the last 3 years, pretty much through my papers, but then also saying, here's the design options you can do. So one of them I talked about, financial safety by design, says send that strong message. The reason I made that recommendation is because when we sent letters to perpetrators who were sending those abusive messages, more than 90% of them stopped sending the abuse through payments when they got a letter from the bank.
Are there any banks, and we can pick on the banks for 10 minutes, are there any banks that haven't taken these steps on board after they've known about it?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
But there is...
Is there movement at the station?
There's absolute movement at the station. So when I was in banking, we had many conversations with all the Australian Banking Association members and said, actually, none of us can be the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
Some of them don't have the technology to be able to do all of the actions, but the majority of banks have agreed we need to monitor this and do something about it. What I would say is... I made a recommendation that everyone puts into their terms and conditions. financial abuse is really harmful. If you, we don't want to be part of that. And so if you misuse our products and services, we will take action against you.
Yeah.
And no one in the world had ever done that when I made that recommendation.
So I know when we sign up for things and, we see contracts and all that, it's half the time it's like, yes, scroll, click. But are there things that we should look for in contract terms before engaging in new financial products? And this is probably a shout out for this world that we're living in. You might get overwhelmed and with reading contracts. You could literally copy it all, paste it into ChatGPT and say, could you tell me any policies in this contract around domestic violence or financial abuse? Yes or no or no.
I love that. That's a great idea.
That's what I do. Like,
Yeah.
I'll get sent a contract. I throw it in chat, like anything I need to look out for. and it just, I don't know, it helps. But talk to us about what do we look for in contracts?
So you used ChatGPT. I used Control F
Yeah.
to do that. So after the first year of me making this recommendation, 13 banks in Australia had introduced terms
Great.
that refer to financial abuse. And last year I launched a campaign called Respect and Protect to get other businesses to do that. There's now more than 60 Australian brands that
Wow.
have those terms. And we're the first country in the world to have ever done this.
Wow.
So it's
So
fantastic
good.
because it puts perpetrators on notice, puts people who are misusing products on notice. We can see you, don't do it. It's like after September 11, we now see signs up at airports that say, don't joke about terrorism or you can't get on a plane.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing. So whether you use AI and ChatGPT or you do
Control F.
Boomer, Gen X, Control F. First of all, look up either financial abuse or domestic abuse and
Yeah.
you will see it in there. And there's 64 companies, and that's not just banks, it's insurers, telcos, energy companies, water companies, education, fintechs. We've even got transport. Like there's a bunch of companies who've done it, and that's what I would look for.
Yeah. It's, the way you're talking, it's really good. And I think we need to do these things to protect everyone, even if there is some inconvenience. So if I had a partner and I wanted to cancel a phone contract or an energy contract, and I'm like, yeah, I need to cancel this. Like, well, we need both people, and maybe you could talk about shortly about the practicalities. Like, yes, that is annoying, but if it protects someone vulnerable, it's worth having. In the same way that I'm thinking, there's a lot of banks now, because I've been going through this just this week, they block BSB numbers to crypto platforms, blanket block. And I tried to move money over to a crypto platform the other day, and two banks were like, no, we don't do it. But it's like, but this is legitimate, it's a pain. But I'm just thinking, well, so many people get scammed. It's kind of as a net benefit for society. I get it. If it's going to stop someone losing 150 grand, I'll play ball.
Yeah. It's a really good point. I'm glad you brought up scams because there's a lot of parallels between the tactics that scammers use
And abusers.
Yes.
Right?
And in fact, financial abuse is definitely part of of romance scams.
Well, it's one of the fundamental pillars.
Yeah, the social engineering,
Yeah.
right?
We've had Tracy Hall on the show talking about her story.
She is incredible what
Yeah.
she's doing, an incredible expert and so knowledgeable
Yes.
about the organised crime that is targeting all of us.
Yeah.
What I would say is last year, Australians reported losing $2 billion in scams. The best data that we have is that financial abuse costs individual victims, $5.7 billion a year. Why I care about it so much is because unlike physical violence, which often happens behind closed doors, financial abuse involves the manipulation of products and services and systems. It is a lead indicator of homicide because it is coercive control. It's coercive control is present in 99% of intimate partner homicides. I care about it, and I want people to understand it because of the risks.
Yeah, I'll always talk about this on my show. I've personally been impacted by that with people close to me, and once you're in the thick of it, good luck. And it's so crazy. Yeah, it's an awareness thing.
Yeah.
And back to your point about the measures that you're putting in, and maybe we will talk about the practicalities, they could, as an unintended good consequence, could stop fraud.
Absolutely, and scams. And vice versa. The things they're doing for scams could stop financial abuse.
Yeah. There's a common denominator here. Assholes. Hey,
consent.
Yes, and consent. we're gonna take a break. When we get back, we might get into the practicalities of how these tripwires work with the stuff that Catherine has implemented with a lot of the big institutions in Australia. We'll be back right after this.
If you're after personal financial advice, don't get it from a podcast. But if you want guidance tailored to your situation, head to moneypodcast.com.au and click Get Help. We'll connect you with one of our trusted professionals, financial advisors and mortgage brokers, who work with people right across Australia. No matter where you are, they can help. Now, before we get back to the show, a quick reminder to protect your financial life. That means having income protection sorted. It means having death cover if there's any debt or dependents relying on you. It means getting your personal insurance in order. Most people insure their car, they insure their house, but what about themselves? Sky Wealth, who support this podcast, are specialist financial advisors who can help you get the right cover in place. Their advice is often more comprehensive and better value than going direct through your super. Book a complimentary 15-minute chat at sky.com.au. That's skye.com.au. And they'll point you in the right direction.
Okay, we're back. What is a practical example, be it your electricity bill, phone bill, of a policy in action?
Yeah. So first of all, what I would say, I was going to start with banks first. When you set up an account, you should do that Control F and take a look for financial abuse in the terms and conditions.
Yeah. And maybe we didn't get there, but are we just wanting to see the words? And because a lot of people get overwhelmed with contracts, but is it fair to say if there's the words financial abuse or abuse mentioned in the contracts, they likely will have some mechanisms in the background?
Correct.
Okay.
And those specific terms are also targeted towards the abusers.
Great.
To say, we'll take action against you. And it's actually not about closing their accounts. It's just
a lot
about
of these
saying,
abusers are cowards.
That's right. It's about, it's about saying, we can see you.
Yeah.
We don't accept it, and that's not the culture we want to live in.
Yeah.
And so that's why I framed them in that way. But a number of the organisations have also said, and here's who you contact if you're experiencing domestic abuse or financial abuse. So you might find those details in those terms. I think most terms, online terms, have got something like 6,000 words. So I just say look for 2.
Yeah.
So that's a starting point. If you are setting up accounts with a partner, what you want to do is talk about what's your money, what's my money, and what's our money.
Yeah. And
how are we going to manage that? So, I think you need to start with that conversation about what's your money, what's my money, what's our money. That'll also give you an indication if you're in the throes of a really romantic relationship and maybe you might have different views about money.
Okay, I didn't want to pull this thread, but hey, we're here now. I would obviously rather the fence at the top of the hill than the ambulance at the bottom. Let's talk fence, top of the hill, with people who are not in relationships yet. And so what you've touched on is a lot of the stuff that Jess from Financially Fierce talks about. I have guests on. It's about money philosophy at the start or near to the start of a relationship. Are we on the same page? If we're not, do we acknowledge our pages? And also, at the risk of being a relationship expert, just looking in my anecdotal experience, when there has been abuse, don't ignore red flags at the start of a relationship, and make sure you've got good life-giving friends and family members giving you input and feedback at the start of any relationship. Am I seeing anything here that, are you seeing anything here that I'm missing? Don't ignore red flags.
I absolutely agree. And you know what I think is really encouraging? That my kids and kids now are being taught about consent.
Consent, yeah.
What it is, how you ask for it, and how you give it. How you give it freely.
And how you can withdraw it at any time.
Exactly. And it needs to be free and informed and enthusiastic.
Yep.
I have a view that we need to have that same conversation about money.
Consent in the bedroom and at the bank counter.
Perfect. It's exactly what it is, right? And I think we can have that. It's a bit harder for an older generation where consent wasn't a thing we talked about.
Yeah.
Certainly it wasn't when I went to school, but for younger people who are just starting out in relationships and money relationships, I think that's an important conversation.
Because I think it's, and call me old-fashioned, but like it is okay to be in a relationship and share your money. Like that's okay if it's healthy.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs to be all or nothing. Life is complex. Life is not black and white. It's grey. So...
But also, you couldn't buy a house if you didn't pool your income, right?
Exactly.
But what I would say is if you are then looking for a mortgage, think about you can have separate offset accounts.
Yes.
You could have one each
Yeah.
and it both goes to pay off the mortgage. So look for a bank that could offer that because that, if the worst happened, that's a form of protection for you.
Yeah, and it's just called wisdom and being wise and looking after yourself. And particularly if you've come out of a relationship that has had abuse, if that person that you're now seeing doesn't get your vibe, they're probably not the person for you anyway. So we'll fast forward, we're in the relationship, things have not worked out and there is abuse going on. I just want that practical example with the telco or the energy company, how they pull the trigger on an abusive situation, because I'm all about practical,
absolutely
tangible things.
So what I've found, unfortunately, the best way to get help for these circumstances is to say the words domestic violence. So don't be hedging your bets and saying, I'm worried about these things. Literally say to, and most businesses will have someone that they can escalate to.
Yes.
I am experiencing domestic violence or financial abuse. I need some help to secure my accounts and be safe.
Yes.
I also need some help to separate or disentangle.
So, and based on your experience, because it is a vulnerable thing, if someone is experiencing some abuse in a relationship, more often than not, is there going to be an hour hold time on phone? Is it an offshore call center? Or is there someone who's got the same cultural vibe and actually is empathetic and gets it?
It's going to be really mixed depending on who your provider is.
Okay.
So some organisations have set up specialist teams like the one that I set up.
Yes.
Where there's special training.
At CBA.
Absolutely. But there's a lot of organisations that have done that.
Yeah.
A number of the banks, a lot of the, there's telcos who've done it, energy companies that have done it. Unfortunately, there's some that haven't done it. So it is a bit of a mixed bag depending on who your provider is.
Yeah.
Insurance companies have done it as well. But I do think because we're all becoming much more aware of responsibility and because evidence does show that people will talk to their friends and family first for help, they're more likely to go to a bank to talk about financial abuse than they are to go to a specialist domestic violence service.
Yes.
Because you need to have access to money. You also need to have access to your phone. So they're the two big areas where you will get help. It is, some of them have got chatbots, so you could do it online. Some of them you have to call up. Some of them you might need to walk into a branch or a store.
So if someone in a relationship, the perpetrator wanted to dick around and cancel, they were still on the electricity bill and they'd moved out of the house and they wanted to dick around and cancel the account, what tripwires would there be at the energy company to stop that happening?
So my last paper actually looked at some of these issues on energy and water, and unfortunately not all of them have got good tripwires.
Wow.
So
who's leading the way? Banks and telcos and insurance, or?
Banks are definitely leading the way.
Yeah.
I think financial services are leading the way. It's interesting. I wanted to ask you a question actually about financial advisors, right? Financial advisors got a really important role to play.
Yeah.
I've been talking to financial advisors a lot this last year through the FAAA.
Yeah.
And
are you going to the conference in Perth?
I am.
I'll see you there.
Oh, yay. Well, I'm actually on a panel there. We're going to talk about this.
Great.
And they've got such an important role to play because there are also these life moments and financial decisions that people are making which are high-risk times. If you are setting up a self-managed super fund, there are no protections on financial abuse there. So if both of you were to take money out of another super fund and put it into a self-managed super fund, you won't have the same protections against financial abuse, for example. There are other high-risk financial transactions for financial abuse. So financial advisors have got a really good role to play. And if I said to you, any clients in your former life where you might have suspected there was financial abuse, did you know what to do about it?
Number one, there was a weird story that I got that I didn't think it was financial abuse. But I think what I would say to that is, like, number one, I haven't been a licensed personal financial advisor for 8-9 years. So that's number one. But we have plenty of financial advisors who listen to this podcast. I would probably really encourage, we've got to know our clients and have a high level of empathy, or read the room, or if you see some dickery going on, I think we need to lean over and press that buzzer. Now, I actually don't know what that buzzer is, and I'll definitely go to the session at the FAAA conference. But I think if I rewind and I saw financial abuse in play, I don't know. And this is the thing, I think licensees probably have a role to play in terms of a mechanism or the associations. But my first call, I'd probably talk with a colleague first and go, hey, I've noticed this. What do you vibe? Secondly, if you do know your clients, potentially it's... I think if you do know your clients, you should have the latitude to potentially call a potential victim and have a discreet conversation. Just wanted to check in. I don't know. My answer is I don't know.
Well, I think...
But we're talking about it, and there are professionals listening, and we just need to be aware of the signs if we see it.
Absolutely. And that's why there's a number of those high risk kind of transactions, like nominating your life insurance beneficiary, another area that's a risk. What I would say is the parliamentary inquiry into financial abuse last year said financial advisors have got a really important role.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And my question is, and I've been to a financial advisor. I love my financial advisor. When I went there, when I had a partner with my ex-husband, we were treated as a couple and it was our couple goals. We were not treated as two individuals in the couple. And so my challenge to financial advisors and also to anyone who's seeking financial advice is, yes, you will have couple goals, but what are your individual goals? And how do you think about what could go wrong if, unfortunately, your relationship broke down?
Yeah.
Like so many do. Have you got the right advice in place that also protects you?
Yeah, and one thing that I always teach is, yes, we can have a joint account with the energy coming out of and the rent coming out of and all that, but if we have an emergency fund, for example, the family might have a $20,000 emergency fund. Well, let's put $10,000 in own name individual accounts. Or something like that.
Great idea.
Just, we're on the same page, because it's not only the what if there is abuse. Well, what if there's a medical event and someone loses their cognition, or it's just some practical things that will catch all.
Yeah.
But when I talk about goals on the show, we talk about with couples, what's the couple goal? or the household goal? And then what are our individual ones? And do we have turns? All right, now we just did my goal of wanting to climb Everest without an oxygen tank on or whatever the guy did. And all right, now it's your turn. Let's now achieve your goal. So I think you can walk and chew bubblegum, but I think it's being conscious and
at consent again,
and
right?
consent, yeah. And I will say, particularly and I'm probably talking now to people who may notice, because a lot of this platform I like to use is for good and a PSA and all that. Guys and gals, and unfortunately it's women who end up being a victim of all this crap. If you notice anything with your friendship circles or your couples and you get the ick or something around, please say something to your friend, because number one, you could be the mechanism that empowers that person and supports her to get help.
Yeah.
You could be the support. It's so important that people don't feel that they're alone.
I agree. In fact, I was talking to a survivor advocate recently who was saying it took her 15 years to muster up the courage to leave, and it took a few times as well. She was very, very unsafe. So not everybody's going to disclose, but if they know that you are a safe harbour, you are the person who's inquiring, and that you will believe them if they say something is going on, that's really important. It can take someone up to 7 or 8 times to leave.
Yeah.
To leave for the final time. And actually that point of leaving is the most unsafe.
Yeah. And I can tell you right now, I've been helping people in the thick of it, and it's scary.
It is scary.
And
it's scary for everybody.
It's scary, and the money's really, a lot of it got nothing to do. A lot of the times got nothing to do with it, because the situations are scary. And I think, shout out, look after your friends, and this is just a big PSA today. Now, over the last kind of decade, what advice would you give to people if they are starting out, or I'm even happy to throw to you for any final comments, or is there anything I haven't asked you that you would like to talk about?
Yeah. Look, the main thing I would say, I think we've covered everything that I really wanted to talk about, but I would encourage all the people who are listening or watching this to take a look at their terms, do the find and replace, put it into ChatGPT and ask, does your bank account, does your insurance cover policy, your energy account, your water account, your telco account, anyone you're doing business with, do they offer that protection?
I'm going to do that live now while we're here. So my energy controller, it probably looks bad on the camera right now, but here we go. My energy controller or provider, let's have a look here. Online terms and conditions.
Okay. I can tell you that they do have it.
Okay, cool.
They're the only energy company
really?
that's introduced it.
Wow. Okay, well, shout out to AGL.
And it's not in their terms. It's actually, they've got a separate page called, it's in their customer charter.
Well, there you go. I've got a real-time ChatGPT with me. But I'm with AGL Energy, so I'm like,
yay, big shout out to AGL.
Yeah.
And good one for, they were the first mover in energy,
also,
which is
can I have a
fantastic.
discount? Thanks.
So what I would say is, but if you go to the Respect and Protect website, respectandprotect.au, every single company that's changed their terms and conditions, we've published them.
Right. So Respect and Protect is your website.
Yep.
And we'll put a link in the show notes. You've got a brain, enter, protect, and
Respect and Protect.
Check it out.
Check it out and see if your company does have it. Now, what I do know from research that we've done with Australians is that 96% of Australians want these protections. 3 in 4 want them from the companies they deal with, and more than 20% will switch companies for those protections. So vote with your feet. And also, if there is a company that is not listed on there and you want them to be part of it, there's a form on that website to say, here's the company that I wish would do it.
Yeah, awesome.
And I'm happy to then I collate all of those and I send them to those companies and say, your customers want this.
Love it.
People power.
Love
Let's
it.
go.
Well, I think we could end on a wheelie bin running past. But yeah, respectandprotect.com.au.
It's actually respectandprotect.au.
.au, fancy much. Anyway, find that out.
It's AI, man.
It is.
It's the new world.
It is. So we are at South by Southwest. What are you most excited about after being here for the week?
Oh, I'm excited about the possibilities. So what I loved, I did a presentation at the beginning of the week, lots of product designers in the room,
Yeah.
and they're the people I talk to say, I want you to think about the ways that your products are being misused and redesigned for safety. I'm also really excited about community and the networks, because there's a whole lot of people here who I would never have met like you, and we're all after the same thing. Connection, community, and how does tech and money and entertainment come together to give us all a richer life?
You know, I was thinking, and you've probably heard this analogy. I think in my book, Sort Your Money Out or Sort Your Career Out, I talked about the analogy of when the seatbelts were first introduced. The governments wanted to mandate and legislate them all around the world. But weirdly, the car companies were against them.
They were. And now look, and that's what actually the e-safety commissioner, Julie Grant, talks about all the time.
Yeah,
exactly
it's like,
that.
And the same with cigarettes. The only companies that were saying they're good for you were the ones that were selling them.
And so that's how I think about some of the Gen AI and the social media companies. And that's part of what I say to companies, to say, you need to see this. Unfortunately, those big platforms haven't built safety in.
Yeah.
It's an afterthought. And let's have a look at the damage that is causing big swathes of people in our community. So I don't want us to be like that. That's why I work with other sectors. The tech sector's not ready for me yet, but one day they will be.
I don't know if I was ready for you yet, but here we are. Hey, if you're a business out there, or you've got a decent sized company and you want some safety type consulting, can people just reach out via LinkedIn, Catherine Fitzpatrick?
Yeah, best to get me via LinkedIn, or you can go to our website, which is flequity.au.
Yeah.
Made up word.
Yeah, love it.
But we consult to businesses on how to help them understand the ways their products are being misused and what they can do about it. And we work with people with lived experience to make sure it's very current.
Yeah.
We also, there's a lot of free information through my Design to Disrupt reports, which you can also just download.
Awesome.
So if you're in banking, general insurance, energy, water, and forthcoming telco, they're all free.
Yeah, and financial advisors listening, see you in Perth.
And sign up to Respect and Protect. Put it in your terms and conditions. So far we have one that's introduced it, one financial advisor in Australia. Another one has committed to do it and she's still working on it.
Shout out to my colleagues, Phil Thompson, Put It In Your Business, James Millard, Sufficient Funds, Alex and Scott from Everest Wealth, Rachel Kroon from Sphere Home Loans. They're all businesses that I deal with. It'd be cool if you guys had a look at this stuff.
Yeah, and then maybe when we're at FAAA Congress, we can all get a group photo and say these are the first movers in the financial advice sector.
Let's go.
Do it.
Anyway, my name's Glen James. Catherine Fitzpatrick, thank you so much for having a chat with us today on Money, Money, Money.
Thank you so much for having me, Glen.
Any advice is general financial advice only, which does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Because of that, you should consider if the advice is appropriate to you and your needs before acting on the information. If you do choose to buy a financial product, read the Product Disclosure Statement, PDS, and Target Market Determination, TMD, and obtain appropriate financial advice tailored to your needs. Simo Interactive Pty Ltd, the publisher of this podcast, and Glen James are authorised representatives of Money Sherpa Pty Ltd, which holds financial services license 451289. Opinions or comments from any guests on the podcast are theirs and not those of the host or the publisher or their respective license holders.